welcome to Civic Punks from the UN Public Service Forum. And I'm here with two of my friends, Alejandra and Almero. And we were on a panel this morning for Innovation Labs in Action, which was a lot of fun. I got to moderate it and really put you guys on a hot seat. What were your key takeaways from that? What were your things that stood out for you from that panel? Alejandra.
Okay, I'll go first. I'm agree with you. It was a great panel where we can share all the differences that we have as national, local, and the city lab, innovation lab. And my takeaway is that we are all working for a change in the mindset of public officers, the public servants, that we believe this is the way to solve complex problems, and that is not one right way to do it, that we have differences, and that's the way that we have to approach this type of problems and the way that we have to deliver public service in these times.
It's a good point, because your lab structures are quite distinct from each other, and we're also missing our third panelist, Luana. Almero, how about you? What was one of your takeaways from it?
Yeah, so I guess my first reflection on it would just be that we had gotten along quite well before the time, and so I really enjoyed it. The panel just felt like a continuation of a cool conversation, which was really cool and refreshing, because often these panels can feel quite stiff. So just from a mechanics point of view, I enjoyed that. And then I guess I just saw again that all of us are kind of dealing with the same kinds of issues, and so all of us are interested in making the world a better place. None of us are interested in an exit strategy. So at this point in our careers, in a way, we're not interested in exiting the public service and doing it. And so therefore you have to participate, yes? And you have to be constructively part of it. So there's that sort of golden strand that's there for everybody. And then you see how in Bogotá or Brazil or Cape Town or Korea, it doesn't really matter, how there are these little differences that just start to emerge. So I was struck by the sameness of it, and also by how really nicely every place has its own sort of shape and flavor. Yeah.
I think for me, it was actually something that Luana said that really stood out for me, with this whole idea of moving from ego-centric to eco-centric. And really the idea that, in the innovation space, it's quite easy for egos to get in, because of you're very much on this hero's journey, and that can easily go to your head. But realizing that really to create the change we want to create, it takes a community, it takes an ecosystem, and ecosystems are strongest when they're well networked. And so the whole idea of the Public Service Forum itself is a great example of an opportunity to strengthen these ties, to share these common experiences and realize, wow, there are actually, even though very different contexts, a lot of similar challenges. But I think the other part of it is less than just the ideas, it's the relationships that when you feel like you're part of a community, that makes you stronger and it makes you more resilient. And so that was sort of my biggest takeaway. So thank you.
I actually want to ask you a question about that. And so if we're talking about, ecosystems, so our provincial government, our provincial Department of Health has embarked on sort of an ecosystem reform or an ecosystem journey. And what we're finding is, obviously there's the usual change resistance. Yes, it's something new, and so people aren't interested in it. But the biggest thing that we're finding is that you can express a desire for ecosystem connectedness that isn't followed by the structural mechanisms to make it possible. You're in trouble. So you can't say on the one hand, listen guys, we think that there should be effectively common pool resources. So if your partners in another ecosystem is struggling, resources should be able to flow to that. You can't say that and then not follow it up with budget allocation reform. And so it sounds to me, both from our conversations with Luana and with you, that you guys might be a little bit further along to influence that structural response to an innovation desire. And I'd be really interested just to get your thoughts on that.
Well, in the case of Bogotá, what we have is a big community of different innovation teams. So we realize that the lab is not able to control everything. And we have to work together, because even though that we're talking about innovation, it's different sectors that we're talking. So, for example, in your case, health, but you have also mobility, you have the others. So we're not trying to be controlling everything, but working together. So that's why we have something that we call extended EVO, the Bogotá Innovation Lab. That's something that is helping to create a community, but also it has to make sense. You have to bring something to the table in order to have that cooperation. So everyone is going to be seeing why it's good to have this cooperation. And the other thing that is important is that, in our case at least, the lab is located at the Chief of Staff office, and it gives the perspective of the general problems and helps a little bit to, not to orientate, but at least to lead the community, all the conversation.
That's very useful, thank you.
Yeah, thank you both so much. Honestly, it's probably one of the most fun conversations I've been able to have on a stage in particular. I think we're going to be able to share it. I'm going to see if we can share it in the notes from this, the actual panel itself. So I encourage you to watch the whole entire thing. And other than that, just thank you so much for joining with me on this.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Brilliant.